Okay, welcome back to Battle of McDowell, Great Battles of the American Civil War, the Shenandoah expansion. So we're up to the 1600 turn, and the 1500 turn had units moving, and you can see some of the results of this here. You can see the Union moving up in kind of a two-pronged attack. Confederates have moved up into a position in front of the false top of Sitlington's Hill right here, and positioned to cover the victory hexes up here. So that's going to be their main goal, is cover the victory hexes, keep them back, because we do have reinforcements coming in for the Confederates, and they're positioned over here and just a little bit off screen, if I can shift. And here is the rest of the Confederate units here, all bunched up coming in. We've got Connor's brigade, part of Johnson's division, slowly working their way up these hills. But this hill is very steep. It's very hard to get up there. The terrain is extremely tough. As we said, there's a 50-foot increments, which gives a +1 to just even a gentle slope, as well as the woods. And there's a couple of moderate slopes over here, or minor slopes over here, that require a +2 to get over. So, just getting into there is 4 movement points. So they can really just move 1 or 2 movement points at a time to get up there. So this is going to be a very tough slog to get up. I think we can get them up here, but I'm kind of rethinking what to do with Jackson's division, Taliaferro and Campbell. I'm half thinking there is a road. It's a little tough to see here, but there is a road that snakes up here and comes around. And if I zoom you back out, you can see that I've already got the one Confederate cavalry that's there, all the way up this trail-like road over here, as they can move down that with basically one hex movement. So I may swing them down here and get them in to potentially counter attack or flank the Union coming in along that Stanton-Parkersburg turnpike. But we'll have to see how that works out. Again, we don't have a lot of turns, so it's going to be a very quick battle, very short fight, and we'll see what happens from there. Now, from the perspective of the Union, coming back over here and take a look at their forces. First off, we have Millroy has taken his brigade division. No, his brigade, excuse me. He has the division. And moved them around to come up through this little valley right here and try to move up against them. Now, of course, Johnson has got one regiment over here that's going to be holding off on this side, and hopefully Connor can come up and support them over there. So they're going to have tough going. They've got some tough hexes to get over, and then they've got to get into some sort of battle line to fight over there. They will probably get this hex right here, which will give them 1 victory point. Confederates have kind of given that one up. It's a little bit more remote, but they'll try to hold all of these others out, and then potentially counterattack with Jackson up the turnpike road there. Then to the north, we have Schenk coming in along the turnpike road here. Now he's only got a couple of regiment, plus the regiment that's up against the hill. So he's got the regiments there. He's also got some batteries. We're going to try to get the batteries up here to this higher ground right at the woods line, try to shoot up here, as well as potentially defend or drive off anybody that tries to counter attack up the road, particularly cavalry, potentially Jackson as well, for my other comments. So we'll see how that goes. It's very tough going with it. You can see they've only made some movement. Like I said, the elevation changes are a little rough. We've also got, you can see over here, this river is actually treated as a stream, which makes it a little bit easier, but we still have still have gullies and stuff like that, steep banks, and other things that they've got to try to overcome to get over there. So it's very slow going, and for both sides to get up into position. So probably have one more turn of maneuvering and getting into position before we get into attack. Oh, the other thing to point out with these units as well is that the infantry, most of the infantry is armed with just muskets. So you can see these Confederate infantry here and these Union infantry here are just muskets. There are some rifles in Millroy's brigade and in Jackson's brigades as well, but muskets far outweigh the rifles in here. So it's going to be a close range fight because we're not going to be able to shoot very far with the muskets. They're going to have to get in close. So there's going to be a lot of that, and I think a lot of shock attacks. So it's going to be a close, sharp fight when it comes down to it in the end. So there we are at the end of the 1500 turn, 3 p.m. turn. We're moving on to the 1600 turn, 4 p.m. And we'll see how that maneuvering goes and be back with that. Welcome back to Battle of McDowell, Great Battles of the American Civil War of the Death Valley module. We're up to the 1700 turn, 5 p.m. We just finished the 4 p.m. turn. And much like the 3 p.m. turn, it was a lot of maneuvering for the Union and Confederates to get into position. You can see over here that Jackson did take his road route up beyond the mountain, or around the mountain, I should say, on the Stanton-Parkersburg Turnpike to look to try to flank the Union troops up there. Meanwhile, you can see the Johnson's units are holding out on top of Sitlington's Hill with Scott's brigade, and then Connor's brigade down to the south over here, right down in here next to where Jackson is still struggling to get up the hill. Extremely tough terrain, as I highlighted in the previous video, for them to get up. Basically moving just one, maybe two hexes at a turn, particularly with the other units. So they'll struggle to get up there. We've got one unit that moved fairly well forward. And the other thing that's a little inhibitor here too is that Connor is out of command from Johnson, who's out of command from Jackson. So if Connor gets in command of Johnson, he will be a little bit better off, because he can get the second AM of Johnson's move, but he's stuck. So they've only got really one turn to keep moving forward with this. Meanwhile, Jackson's units, moving around to the flank, looking to get up the road over there. Now to the north, from the Union perspective, you can see up here that the Union has moved in some artillery. And let me zoom in on that because that's going to be an interesting setup. So here we see the Union batteries up there. You can see there's just a couple of them there. There's the Napoleons from Schenk's brigade, the K battery of 1st Ohio, and then we have the 12th Ohio and the G battery of 1st West Virginia over there. And what's the other one here? The I battery of 1st Ohio sitting up here defending. We've also got the 1st Connecticut Cavalry. It's moved up to kind of watch the 7th Virginia that has moved up. They didn't quite get there to take the hex. The hex is still open. It's not controlled by either side, but they've moved up to watch. Now the 1st Ohio K battery here, the Napoleons, the good guys, they took a shot at the Virginians, and they low ammoed. They missed, but they low ammoed as well. So that's going to be a problem because they can't recover ammo during this battle. So they're already at a -2, which is which is bad. In fact, both shots, I'll show you, there was a Confederate shot too that also went low ammo. There's 2 shots, both from low ammo, in a game where you can't replenish your ammo, or at least not easily. Confederates can't replenish their ammo. The Union must move back across the Bull Pasture River over to the left to potentially resupply, but it effectively takes them out of the game if they do that. So that's going to be a key position. Why do I say that? Because if I slide over here a little bit, you can see who's moving down the road. There's the first elements of Jackson's units, Talliver's brigade moving up the road and into a position to take that victory hex for the Confederates, also coming around on the Union left flank to potentially attack over there. So that's very interesting in terms of what's going to happen over there. But our main battle is going to be down to the south up on Sitlington's Hill. So let me zoom back out so you can see that. So on the hill itself here, we've got Scott's brigade holding out with Johnson up at the peak to potentially assist him and keep him in good stead and plenty of activations. You can see that Millroy has moved up the flank and very slowly moving up that little valley with his brigade. Now it's very slow going, particularly in these 2 hexes here. It's actually 3 points to get into this hex, and then to get up here it's another 3 points. So you can see it's a very slow, or actually, 3 points to get up there. Very slow process to get him up there. We've got 2 units, the 1st West Virginia and the 75th Ohio, up into position here. But again, given the lines of sights and the steepness of the ground, there's been no long distance shooting. The only shots we did get was from the 44th West Virginia. They do have a clear line down to the 82nd Ohio of Schenk's brigade. They took a shot. They also rolled a 5, so they're low ammo, and they're going to have a -2. Again, they're rifles. They're one of the few rifles on the board, and they're also at low ammo now, so they won't be doing any more long-range firing. But they actually disordered the battalion of the 82nd over here. The other one is okay, and they're right next door, so they should be able to rally them without a problem in the next turn. Behind them, we've got Schenk's brigade itself, the rest of Schenk's brigade itself, moving up here. They moved up this very steep slope over here, which forced them to automatically disorder. This is one thing with these steep hills. If you go to the extremely steep hills, the steep slopes, it's a +3 modifier for the movement. It's also an automatic disorder when you get up there. So both of them disordered. Luckily, the 5th Ohio had Schenk with them. That helped them to get reordered, but the 55th Ohio did not. So they'll have to try to recover over next turn. So extremely hard going here. They're getting close to some action. I think we may have some action maybe from Millroy's brigade over here next turn. We'll see if we can get Schenk up there. He should be in command because Millroy positioned himself here. So that should allow him to continue to command his brigade for the most part, and then get over with Schenk here as well. So they can kind of coordinate and keep getting enough activations to keep moving with this to try to push back Scott before Connor can get up there. Because I think Connor will get a couple units. You can see one unit of Connor over here has moved up behind here. The other ones, I think another one should be able to move up here next turn. And slowly but surely, Connor will get all of his units up there. Bigger problem is going to be Jackson's flanking maneuver with Talliver and Campbell. And we'll see what happens with that in the next turn. So we're up to the 5 p.m. 1700 turn of Battle of McDowell. So thanks for watching this. Please subscribe, like, and comment if you're liking these videos. There'll be a few more coming up shortly. Thanks for watching.